AIO Unemployed husband turned down job offer by fast_dragonfly_9441. My husband has been unemployed for 6 months. Last year he was unemployed for 4 months. He was laid off from being a software developer both times. Monday he got a job offer with very little effort. He had a one-and-done interview, contract to hire, $80K, with the county, 5-minute commute, 3 days at home, 2 in the office. It would have been great work-life balance. The recruiter had made a mistake when they offered on the hourly. They told him 60 hourly for the contract part, and it was actually 45. He also saw there would be a drug test. My husband said he wasn't excited about it anymore, and he never wanted to do a drug test again, and ultimately called back and told them he is not taking the offer. He says he can never code again because he hates it. He says he hates corporate. He says he never wants to do another job with a drug test again. He says he never wants to work for a wage again, but to go start his own business. When we talk about his work future, he gets avoidant. He used to do stand-up comedy, never made money at this, and now says his dream is being an entertainer. He's been pursuing roles, but up till now it has been strictly volunteer basis. I've been working on being as supportive as possible of his entertainment pursuits, but also focused on the idea of how are you bringing in money now, when he's been talking about coding the way he has all these months. I would suggest he take free LinkedIn classes through the library. He'd go, and change the subject. All this time he has been doing the bare minimum of job applications required for his unemployment. Yesterday, when he was talking about not accepting the offer, we had some very ugly fights. I told him I can't do this work drama with him anymore. I told him would like to split up if he doesn't take it. He brought up the subject of alimony and how difficult it would be for me financially trying to buy him out of the house. I told him if he is truly planning on not taking it, he should call them and let them know instead of stringing them, and me, along. He called them and told them he's not taking it. I could not believe he actually did this, and was extremely upset and crying after this. Later we talked, I initiated the conversation and steered it, and decided he'd A, hustle and look for any other jobs he is saying he wants serving jobs, and B, try couples counseling. I know I should feel better, but I don't. I'm anxious, upset, and have been crying a lot. I love him, we have a great time, and I genuinely love spending time with him, and the life we have built with our dogs. But I still feel upset and betrayed despite him having apologized for having put me through this. Am I overreacting?
Top comment by OK Document 5758, 18 hours ago. You need to seriously rethink staying in this marriage. His response, can you afford alimony, is outrageous. Is he intentionally not working so that you'll be financially responsible for him if you decide to leave? That's incredibly selfish. We've all taken on exhausting jobs just to make ends meet, and yet he's fine letting you carry the burden alone? Does he at least take care of the house, or handle things like a true stay-at-home partner? Or are you stuck doing everything on top of working? Meanwhile, you're building assets, 401k, retirement, whatever, that he'll likely be entitled to just because you're married. If he wants to play games like this, then be smart, protect yourself. If it ever comes to it, quitting your job before filing could be a strategic move. He can't claim alimony if neither of you have income. Don't let him manipulate you. Have a plan and think ahead, because if he's already taking advantage of you now, it could get a lot worse later.
First reply on top comment by Tokoloshe62, 18 hours ago. Threatening alimony is wild. Part of me thinks OP should go back to him and say, I've been thinking about what you have said. Corporate is sucking my soul out too. I just don't think working this much is for me, so I've decided to quit my job and take a year off to discover who I really am, and see what husband says then. In reality, playing games like that is not such a great idea, but it would be hella tempting to see if he has the same opinion about work, when it's _her_ wanting to do less of it, and he won't be able to weaponize divorce and alimony. Continuing the conversation by Joel's Tiger 10-16 hours ago. IDK how long you've been married, or what state you're in, but alimony isn't instant. Also, the fact that he's quitting jobs and turning down jobs would probably play into a decision. Someone responds to top comment by use_your_smart 16 hours ago. Alimony is for people who can't work or who earn less. He has just been offered a job paying $80,000 a year, and he turned it down. That is excellent evidence for the court that he could earn $80,000 a year if he wanted to. If he is voluntarily unemployed or unemployed, then the courts can consider his income earning potential and not just his actual income. In other words, now is a great time to make an application to the court.
Reply number 3 to top comment by the original poster. You are right. I'll start looking into my legal options. Thank you.
A reply to the previous reply by 713 Nikki 15 hours ago. This happened to me too. Your story is so similar that I wondered if it's the same man. My ex was fired from his sysadmin job, wouldn't take a new job, threatened to sue me for alimony and AMP, then he just disappeared and blocked my number. Completely moved out while I was at work, without a word. I waited a month in AMP, filed for divorce. It was hard to get him served, but I figured out where he was. He sued me for alimony 3 times and AMP. It was denied. Thankfully it happened when it did because he apparently started driving under the influence a lot and caused a few major accidents that he's being sued for now by the people he injured. I guess I'm still listed as his emergency contact, so about once a month I get calls from various lawyers and law enforcement agencies looking for him. Get out while you can and protect yourself. I see a lot of red flags in your story that I recognize. A reply to the previous reply by Rainbow Twist 18 hours ago. The whole "can you afford alimony" thing is emotional blackmail. Makes me sick even reading it. If it's in writing, add it and evidence that he turned down a good job offer to a new secret file somewhere he can't see so you can show divorce lawyers later. He's using and manipulating you. Does he even love you? Why do you want to stay with him? You need to talk to a divorce lawyer now and get all your ducks in a row. Best case, he gets a job and you get marriage counseling and it's not necessary. Worst case, you have plenty of time to carefully prepare a plan and the means necessary to leave that mooching asshole.
Continuing the conversation by Excellent Estimate 2116 hours ago. He's also in for a rude awakening because a judge isn't going to just order endless amounts of alimony when you're accustomed to him working, making a very decent living, and he is turning down high-paying jobs. Talk to a lawyer, but you can't turn down jobs in favor of alimony. That is not how it works. ID divorce this guy, not just for threatening something like that, but also for being an idiot and not taking the job and continuing to pursue what he wants instead of sitting at home earning nothing while he is half-assed looking and turning things down. Rise up against this treatment because he is blatantly using you. If you weren't around, he'd work. He simply isn't because you are earning. What a POS for saying he would take you for alimony. That is reserved for a stay-at-home parent or someone who is accustomed to being in a marriage where one partner works and the other doesn't and it was agreed upon in the marriage. Continuing the conversation by Krakenfluffer 15 hours ago. He's taking shitty advice from wannabe TikTok lawyers. Ex-wives hate this one weird trick. You can't just get alimony by quitting your job, or every guy on the planet would do it before divorcing. He has a record of income, no reason to not have a job, such as being a PhD. He has rejected legitimate offers. He has no disability that keeps him from working based on his recently demonstrated ability to receive offers, etc. A judge would never award this loser alimony. And good luck to him with any of the nonsense he's suggesting. He'll have a heck of a time without a decent lawyer. He could try to petition the court to have you pay for his expenses, but I just don't see that going his way given the circumstances, and he doesn't seem like the type to take it seriously until after he's already being raked over the coals anyways. He seems the type to smirk and dare you to do it and then go full surprise Pikachu when it actually happens. Sell the house if you need to. How is he going to afford the mortgage without a job anyways? Go get a new house with a new mortgage by yourself, or enjoy apartment living for a while. Just get away from this absolute child. He's smirking at you because he thinks you're trapped. He's wrong. He'll figure that out real quick. Lawyer, yesterday, don't say a damn word to this child.
A reply to the previous reply by Rudholm 17 hours ago. Turning down a job will absolutely be relevant to the court when deciding if he's entitled to alimony. It would be a good idea to find some kind of documentation that he did that and put it away for when the time comes. Continuing the conversation by Apprehensive Act 315 17 hours ago. He'll most likely have income imputed to him based on education, this job offer, and previous work history. So he may think he'll get alimony based on zero income, but that's unlikely. Also, even if you have to pay alimony for a few years and give up some assets, that'll be cheaper than putting up with this BS.
Continuing the conversation by OK Kanachke 17 hours ago. Pretty sure you can lose unemployment dollar turning down jobs.
A reply to the previous reply by repulsive_active 8356 16 hours ago. Your hubby has decided to be a house husband and given you no choice in the matter. No sane person would pass up a job offer like that.
Someone responds to top comment by Shellabel 89 17 hours ago. Most courts will impute income to prevent those capable of earning income when it comes to determining alimony and child support. If he's turning down job offers, the court typically sees through that. First reply on top comment by Beckinson 18 hours ago. Yes, I was SMH at that too. That's a really messed up thing to even think, much less say. He's a selfish manipulator.
First reply on top comment by welder_subject 16 hours ago. Alimony is only for when the spouse has no other source of income, like no education or employment prospects. It's not applicable just because the party doesn't want to work. Empty threat. Reply number 7 to top comment by Fringe and Glittery 15 hours ago. Yeah, I would say it's lawyer time. Find a divorce lawyer with a free consultation. Some law schools even have some low-cost law clinics, where you can at least get advice even if you don't use a specific lawyer. Then you will have a definite answer when he uses that threat again. I broke up with my long-term partner for many issues, but one of which was his complete lack of ambition. I don't mean with jobs or money. Yes, that is part of it. He got a license for a better job that he did absolutely nothing with. But he has a long list of things he didn't want to do, but no goals whatsoever. My goals were simple and broad, but I strived towards them. I wanted a job in agriculture. I wanted to make a nice home. I wanted to fix up our house to make it more valuable, which we did, but he whined the entire time. He sounds very similar. I'm not a hustle culture warrior, but I do want to continue to improve my life. Not just financially, but all over. He didn't want to do anything or strive for anything. It's not sustainable long term. Reply number 8 to top comment by ins_ripple 16 hours ago also saved evidence related to him turning down jobs. A judge is not likely to grant alimony if he is doing that. At minimum, they will impute income to him.
Comment number 2 by well_caffeinated_mom 19 hours ago. Not overreacting, he's being a mooch. He's refusing to take a solid job offer for nitpicky reasons when he hasn't contributed financially for half a year. If you didn't sign up for a stay-at-home husband, then he needs to change his attitude. Honestly, I think he should try calling the job back and see if the position is still open. They may be uninterested, burned bridge and all that, but it's worth a shot. It's great that y'all enjoy each other and have a great time, but if you're never feeling supported or are feeling taken advantage of, then there needs to be work done in those areas. Good luck with the counseling. I hope y'all are able to openly communicate expectations and grow together.
Someone responds to comment number 2 by the original poster. It would be amazing if he did called them. Thank you for kind words. I am glad others see it that way. I thought I was losing my mind.
Continuing the conversation by Selensky 18 hours ago, depending on where he is, if the unemployment office gets wind of him turning down a job, he will no longer be eligible for benefits. 9. Continuing the conversation by well_caffeinated_mom 19 hours ago. Honestly, him calling that offer would be a great first step to show that he's serious about making this work and not just saying all the right things so you'll drop the topic. It would be an uncomfortable step, but a necessary one.
First reply on comment number 2 by Shadow 4 Summer 19 hours ago. And just for information, most companies, whether you work at a gas station, no shade on that by the way, or in a white-collar job, do random drug testing. His pie-in-the-sky dreams won't put food on the table or keep a roof over your head.
Follow up in the thread by Freed Fritters 18 hours ago. That, and it's actually probably a single drug test, since he'd be working for the state. It's a requirement to pass a drug test before you can be hired for most federally funded jobs. Honestly, this was a really good job offer. State jobs are typically low stress compared to competitive corporate jobs. I'd be beyond pissed off if I were her. A reply to the previous reply by Gaytech_Drew 18 hours ago. I wish I could like this reply 1,000,000 times. He's too gifted to be so immature. People would actually be blown away by the opportunity to make $45 an hour with a nice work/life balance scale. He needs to grow TF up. Take care of responsibilities first. Work on his dream in his spare time.
Follow up in the thread by I Like Naps 16 hours ago. and it's concerning that that's part of his reasoning for not wanting jobs. Sir, if you can't quit due to drugs you aren't prescribed, a street corner pharmacist isn't legit, you have a problem.
Comment number 3 by Misuse of Pork 17 hours ago. My wife and I have always leapfrogged each other with our incomes. She was out of work once for 3 months. Her new job ended up being really good for her, and now she's far outpaced my income, and I'm doing pretty well. I can't imagine trying to make a relationship work where my partner was not contributing financially. I mean, I don't want to work for a wage either. I also dislike corporate life, not more than I dislike not being able to afford anything. Just because you don't like the rules of the game doesn't mean you can opt out. Did he just freak out about the drug test? Is he smoking a lot of pot? You absolutely have to stop smoking if you're unemployed, primarily because you shouldn't be wasting money on it, but secondarily because you need to be able to get a job. If you can't stop smoking for a month or 4 in order to handle your life, you have a huge problem.
Someone responds to comment number 3 by the original poster. This is what I tell him. I don't like working either. Nobody does. But he either thinks I'm being dishonest and actually do like it, or he feels he's exceptional somehow.
Comment number 4 by Skywhirl77 19 hours ago. You're not overreacting at all. This isn't just about a job, it's about stability, shared responsibility, and respect for the life you've built together. Love is great, but a partnership also needs action, not just apologies.
Someone responds to comment number 4 by the original poster. So well stated. I am so glad this is not all in my head. Thank you, and LT. 3.
Comment number 5 by Tuscan Chicken 18 hours ago. And GT. I love him, we have a great time, and I genuinely love spending time with him and the life we have built with our dogs. You could do this with a best friend. Heck, you could do this yourself. Marriage boils down to having a partner in life when shit gets hard, when sacrifices need to be made for the greater good, someone who you can rely on and who has your back, and it doesn't sound like he does. It's tough out there, so if you're ready to turn down a good job offer, you better come back with a 15-point plan with a timeline as to what your alternative is. I'm also a little insulted on your behalf that his reaction to you considering splitting was bringing up alimony. It honestly made me think this was a fake story. If it isn't, you need to really spell it out for him, that this isn't going to work if he continues to be a leech. First reply on comment number 5 by Hallucinogenic 17 hours ago. Have you been divorced? My ex literally tried to get money from me to compensate him for the emotional damage he endured by me leaving. He also wanted alimony, BC. He quit his job when we separated. He also wanted things like gifts my mother gave me. The second I brought up splitting, the threats on how he was going to screw me over rolled in, none of which would be upheld by any court.
Reply number 2 to comment number 5 by the original poster. Not a fake story. I've been crying non-stop over this for the last 24 hours. My life feels completely upended. Unfortunately, not a fake story.
A reply to the previous reply by Princess Pris 18 hours ago. OP, get that alimony stuff in writing. Bait him with the text. If you start creating a bit of a paper trail going, a judge may have mercy on you regarding separating assets should you decide to divorce. Just send a text that the getting alimony comment was hurtful, and you feel that with him refusing job offers, he isn't being a supportive partner or something. Whatever you can do to bait him into writing these things down will help you one day. Don't be sentimental. Manipulators count on that crap. Time for a few quiet offensive moves, girlfriend. Comment number 6 by Ruv_3D 17 hours ago. If he really hates his profession, he should be making a serious attempt at the next chapter in his work life. If he really wants to start his own business, what would it be? Does he have a plan? If his plan is to be an entertainer, what steps is he taking to make that a reality? Acting classes? A talent agent? Is he writing jokes? Doing stand-up at open mics? Expecting the answer to be, he has no plan, in which case you need to decide if you want to stay with a deadbeat with no ambition or financial stability.
Someone responds to comment number 6 by the original poster. He is trying to write jokes and doing open mics. Not really a plan for anything that might make money at this point. His plans are very vague. Sell frozen pizza. Or internet resale. I have made it clear I expect that he will make money some other way and switch to those plans once they show they are making money. So he says he'll apply to part-time server jobs.
Comment number 7 by Corona Russo 19 hours ago. What the actual FK? What country and type of government do you live in where they have a drug test for a software developer role. That's wild. Can't he just say, "No, I'm not taking a drug test"? It's pure discrimination. Anyway, honestly, he either sounds like an addict or a man-baby, or both. You're noir.
First reply on comment number 7 by Irvington_Omusube 18 hours ago. I'm not sure what industry the OP's husband is in. However, drug testing and fingerprints are very common as part of the background check process you undergo to work in U.S. financial services, even as an intern and in non-trading roles, and other industries/sectors. Mind you, it's not every firm, but I have had to undergo this multiple times throughout my career. The Europeans I worked with are horrified by this, but that's the way it is if you want to work for certain firms. Passing the background check is a condition to being hired, so saying no is not an option.
Reply number 2 to comment number 7 by the original poster. It's very common in my state, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is very anti-cannabis because this state is run by the Tavern League. Alcohol is the drug they want us to be consuming.
Continuing the conversation by Chloe Marisage 18 hours ago. LOL. I thought you were going to say you're in New York or LA for him to be wanting to be an entertainer. I live in WI too, and dude needs to get his head out of his ass. He's not getting an entertainment role here. Theater is in NY and TV/film is in LA. He's being incredibly unreasonable about the job market here.
Continuing the conversation by Senior Vibe Analyst 18 hours ago. If it's just cannabis he's worried about, there's a solid chance they wouldn't care if it showed up on a drug test, even in Wisconsin. Each company is of course different, but it's up to HR's discretion, and I've heard they're more concerned with pill abuse and hard drugs that make you a liability to the company. I'd say it's worth taking the risk of a positive THC result. The worst they can do is rescind the offer. That aside, I can understand his hesitation. $45 is a lowball offer for a dev contractor, and if they were misleading about the rate, that's a big red flag. But sometimes you have to make sacrifices for your family, especially when the job market is so tough for tech right now. When something falls in your lap like that, it's wise to take it to get cash flow while you upskill and look for your next opportunity. The longer you're out of the job market, the harder it is to get back in. If he hates SW development and feels it was the wrong career move, that's valid. But is he taking steps like online classes or something to prepare to go in a different direction? Remind him the grass is always greener on the other side, and that work is work. No matter what you do, there's going to be red tape, politics, and monotony. As you move up the corpo title ladder, you tend to spend more time managing people and making big decisions than performing tasks, which some PPL like and some don't. Before couples counseling, maybe nudge him to consider seeing a therapist on his own to help figure out what he wants out of life and cope with some of his stress. Layoffs can be extremely hard on your mental health.
Continuing the conversation by Odine9 18 hours ago. I will never understand how these conservative states, hedged in by legal cannabis states, can't want to take advantage of all that revenue to make life better for their constituents. I live in Indiana, and it's the same nonsense.
Someone responds to comment number 7 by Fried Fritters 18 hours ago. This is a common requirement to work a federally funded position. You have to get tested once before you start as an employee. It's political BS, but it's a thing. Reply number 4 to comment number 7 by Hallucinogenic 18 hours ago. They told me I had to do one as a federal contractor. I don't think I ended up having to do one, but it's in my contract and probably most other Fed contracts that they can. I know federal employees have to be willing to. It's extremely common in states and counties where weed isn't legal.
Comment number 8 by agitated_winner 9568 18 hours ago. Coding for a corporation is absolutely soul-crushing. The guy may have fallen into depression after a burnout at his last job. Did you try seeing a mental health professional?
Someone responds to comment number 8 by the original poster. I also code for a corporation. I have mentioned the idea of him getting mental health help multiple times, but every time he changes the subject.
Comment number 9 by round_view_1844 15 hours ago. Seeking a career in entertainment is not for the faint of heart. It doesn't happen by staying home on the couch and dreaming. Lots of people don't like or even hate their 9-to-5. Hell, a part-time remote and contract work sounds ideal compared to being broke. He's not grounded in reality at all, and you're doing all the work of keeping you two afloat. Put down the oars at least partly, so he will have to do some rowing. Comment number 10 by confident_suspect_72 17 hours ago. I'll take the bait. Guy smokes weed, plays guitar, wants to do stand-up. Sounds chill as fuck. I want to hang out with your husband. Also hates corporate life. Same, and have the balls to bail and try something different. I wish I did. But that means he's not contributing enough financially. I get that frustration. Two things strike me. 1. How does everyone's response to this question change if the genders are flipped? Maybe they don't for some people. But seems to me if he had a high-paying job in tech and was complaining his wife wasn't pulling her weight because she couldn't hack it in corporate world, support for OP would be far less full-throated and unanimous. Maybe that's okay, men should support, but just ask yourself the question and check how progressive you really are. 2. Regardless of gender, he should know his choices have consequences. You've now spelled those consequences out, and he's basically calling your bluff. Alimony bit. Which, by the way, means he's thought of this before, didn't just come up with that on the spot. Question is, are you bluffing or not? Is this a deal breaker? If you know in your soul it is, I would get to moving on ASAP BC. One thing I would bet on, he's not gonna change. Good luck.
Reply number 1 to comment number 10 by the original poster. I completely hear you on gender reversal. I am not traditional by any means, so I would never expect a male partner to support me financially or this dynamic no matter the gender in any relationship, unless it was agreed upon when starting or at some later point in the relationship. To me, marriage is a contract, and this breaches the contract I thought I had with my partner.
Comment number 11 by Apricot Big 6402 18 hours ago. Sorry this is long. N.or. Your husband sounds like he does not want to work. How many people are out there working their dream job? Not very many. There are some who are way too poor to ever take the steps required to pursue a career that they would love. He doesn't want to code. He doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to have to do a drug test again. He sounds like he's just bouncing through life, and when he doesn't like a job, instead of finding a new job, he just quit it and put all the financial burden on you. If it wasn't agreed upon for him to be a work husband before, or it wasn't talked about prior to him quitting his jobs, and that was the plan, then his unemployment is ridiculous. Jobs are available. He's just too good for them in his eyes or doesn't want to do it long term. Most average people have to have a job before they can quit a job because they cannot financially afford the financial hit. He should have arranged a new job that he enjoyed prior to leaving a job he hated. It sounds like your husband is just quitting his jobs and shoving the financial responsibility on you. He does not have a good record of employment for his history, so how are you supposed to believe that any job he gets, he'll actually stay at? I honestly think he just doesn't want to work. There's big gaps in employment. He's too good to do most of the stuff, and when you said that you financially needed him to do this, he threatened you with alimony. That's something who doesn't plan on working does. Stop paying any of his bills that just belong to him. Tell him he can take the hit on his credit until he gets a fucking job, and go to counseling if you want. The gaslighting about him not working and the threat of alimony would have been enough to end the relationship for me. There's a time and a place for supporting your partner like injury or illness. I'm all for that. This is not the case, and it also wasn't discussed from the start of your relationship, nor was it a plan put in place for childcare. This is just him being picky and not wanting to work. Usually I think people overreacting often, or that they played some part in things. I really think yours is just that you're being manipulated, and he is completely in the wrong.
Comment number 12 by wide_detective 7537 17 hours ago. Okay, so the flip side. It's a boring job that makes less than expected and requires a drug test. I also wouldn't work somewhere with a drug test. Not because I'm a disgusting lowlife who cares more about drugs than work. I just think it's invasive and a sign of how the place runs. Red flag? I get not wanting him to sit around and mooch off of you, but also, is the point of a marriage also not to support each other through rough patches? Is this not a rough patch? I bet you'd hope he would do the same for you if the roles were reversed. I sort of think you've gone nuclear here and either A, don't care as much as you think you do, or B, are stressed and reacting like he's told you he will never work again.
Someone responds to comment number 12 by the original poster. He did tell me he never wants to work again. He eventually clarified and said he never wants to work for a wage again. He says he only wants to work for himself. Even though in entertainment industry, in almost every single project you work for someone else. That point aside, he wants to take our savings and get something going. No business plan, no market research, just get something going. Every time he tries to do a side hustle, I end up doing 40+% of the work. I don't understand why he can't just make money without my input without first spending money.
Follow up in the thread by OL_Kentucky_Shark 16 hours ago. Unfortunately, sounds like that is an intractable part of his personality. My brother is like this. Never held down a job for more than 2 years because he doesn't like taking orders from others and always thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. He works for himself now, and it seems to be working out, but he probably won't ever make as much money or work as few hours as he would have if he'd been willing to suck up and deal with less than his ideal conditions in a W-2 job. If your husband is serious about working for himself, he needs to treat that like a full-time job, which means a lot of boring, tedious research, business plan writing, etc. If he's not willing to do that, it sounds like he just doesn't want to work. Period.
Comment number 13 by TNJ Dude 16 hours ago. I'll go against the grain and say it sounds like you're making it a me thing and are overreacting. Betrayed? That's a strong word. You're feeling betrayed because he's reevaluating what he wants to do? That sounds self-centered. There's a lot of things going on, and it seems you're mainly focused on him not doing what you want him to do. He hates corporate. He hates that environment. Maybe he's depressed, maybe he's burned out. It sounds like he does need some counseling. I don't understand the hatred of the drug test. Is it because he does drugs? If so, is it just something like smoking pot or something stronger? And is the hatred of the drug test because he's afraid of being tested, or feels that it's an invasion of privacy, and doesn't like corporations that indulge in that? He sounds like he needs counseling to help him get his thoughts in order and some kind of plan. And I can understand being concerned, but you didn't bring up financial difficulties. What you brought up is that you don't like him putting asterisks through this, and even after him apologizing and you saying that you love him and you have a great life, you still feel betrayed because he's not doing what you want him to do.
Someone responds to comment number 13 by the original poster. I have brought up counseling many times and he changes the subject. He's totally avoidant when I try to talk to him about it. I think he's burned out, depressed, doesn't want a repeat of the job he had with the random drug testing, all of it.
Follow up in the thread by TNJ Dude 15 hours ago. That's what it sounds like to me too. My thought is that you should continue to try to get him to go to counseling. Reword how you suggested or something. I got burned out with my job and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I was old enough and had enough time in the pension system that I was able to retire, but I remember what it's like when I felt like I was trapped in something I didn't like. It's a pretty overwhelming feeling. From what was said, I don't think this has reached a crisis point yet, but it's gotten to where serious emotions are surfacing in both of you that could amplify everything. Tell him that counseling is just to help him get his thoughts in order and better formulate a plan. And counseling for you could probably be good too. You'd have someone you could vent to and help you process the frustration you're feeling. I go to counseling. Ever since my partner died, I find it helpful. I understand my emotions better and feel like I'm more in control. You sound like you're at your wit's end, so perhaps it could help. Couples counseling would be great, but I think there's separate advantages to having someone you can talk to, just one-on-one. Comment number 14 by Maleficent Lie 3023 18 hours ago. Working for corporations is fucking soul-crushing if you're not the most normal average MF. Time to be a contractor. Is he handy?
Someone responds to comment number 14 by the original poster. For months now, I have been bringing up any other career option for him to pursue, and honestly, when I do this, he gets avoidant and changes the subject. Yesterday, he confessed he just wanted to take 6 months off, and then gets serious about looking for something else, and wishes this offer would have never happened.
Follow up in the thread by Maleficent Lie 3023 18 hours ago. Breaks don't happen often in life. Don't blame him for milking the unemployment. Does he recognize that it's unsustainable? Comment number 15 by 41M_ in Vegas 18 hours ago. Your husband sounds burnt out. That's the only nice thing I'm going to say about him. He needs to grow up. Pursue a dream? Yes, do it. But take care of the basics first. Meaning have income and pull your weight. This is so frustrating to read. I'm sorry you're going through this. Comment number 16 by GL Brick 19 hours ago. What's with the say no to drug tests attitude? I have an image of an overweight guy sitting around on the internet all day playing games. Am I wrong?
Comment number 17 by technical_night5223 19 hours ago. Because an apology doesn't undo anything. Many of us adults can have a wish list of stuff we don't want to do, and it's LOL. He's too old to be this immature. More concerning is that he's fine not only putting the adulting burden on you, but that he weaponized it with alimony or buying out of the house. That's coercive and abusive to get you to stay with him. His life is just fine because you are making it so for him, and he's ungrateful.
Comment number 18 by Adult Daycare 81 17 hours ago. This should be posted without genders. The responses are usually very different, but I will treat it exactly the same. Is he doing extra housework? Contributing in other ways? Is he willing to live the lifestyle of only one income? Or is he planning to live the same lifestyle, just without contributing to it?
Comment number 19 by Okade351 18 hours ago. You really don't sound supportive at all, LMAO. Maybe try helping him with his entertainment material, or help him look for gigs, or literally anything other than bitching at him about what he's not doing. I can only imagine if the roles were reversed. He would definitely be labeled an unsupportive asshole for forcing his wife to work a job she hates, and not allowing her to pursue her real passion.
Someone responds to comment number 19 by the original poster, untrue. I help him with his YouTube projects, writing, filming, costuming, editing, his acting resume, and remind him to update every time he does a new project. Paid for his headshots while he was unemployed last year, then helped him select the best ones, and spent hours formatting photos in Resume to make sure they printed up correctly and looked good.
Comment number 20 by Iagoret 19 hours ago. I think he's trying to add in other excuses to mask the fact he might be using drugs. Obviously, that could not be the case, but at the same time, it's pretty weird to never want to take a drug test. I think for most people, if they weren't using a drug, they would not have an issue. Just my few cents on it, though. I would say you are acting normally.
Comment number 21 by Ragnar Wave 9002 17 hours ago. I don't call my job work. I call it euphoria. Sarcasm, by the way. Comment number 22 by DLive 19 hours ago. Noir. He just turned down an extra $80K for your house for no good reason. You can find the job of your dreams while employed. We all have to work. He sounds like a person who self-sabotages anytime things turn around for the better because it puts pressure on him to step up to the plate. Can't lose if you don't try. He needs therapy. He also is on drugs. I assume you know that. Probably just smokes pot because anything else doesn't show up on a test if you just wait 48 hours. But if you aren't aware of his drug use, take this as a sign. Also, he isn't getting alimony. I'm not a lawyer, but that is absolutely ridiculous. He's been unemployed, not a homemaker. Comment number 23 by _Apo110 _19 hours ago. Sounds like he is doing drugs, and when they have requested one, he just lost it. Why would he have any other reason to say he never wants to do another job with a drug test?
Reply number 1 to comment number 23 by Rainbow Twist 18 hours ago. Get this in writing too. He is being financially abusive and emotionally manipulative. All bets are off. Get him to write in a text that he turned down the job because he doesn't want to get drug tested. Get him to say what drugs he is doing. Forward yourself the offer letter and his denial. Then save it for the divorce lawyers. I am not a lawyer, but it seems like proving he turned down a good job offer could have an impact on any alimony he receives. After that date, he refused it.
Comment number 24 by From Helly 17 hours ago. Not overreacting. Why should you grind away at the office and pay all the bills while he chases his dreams? I have nothing against chasing dreams, but you have to support yourself while doing so. How long have you been married? If it's less than 10 years and you don't have kids, he may have a difficult time getting alimony. It may, or may not, I am not a lawyer and don't know what state you're in, help that you never agreed to support him or have a stay-at-home hubs. Him not working is not supposed to be a part of your lifestyle. Your update is good, but I think you should have an exit plan if needed. He seems more talk than action at this point. I would talk to a lawyer. Find out how much it would cost you if you leave him. Find out if you will have to pay alimony. Will the house money be split? Knowing what would happen can help you protect yourself. Maybe unemployed, but trying would limit your alimony to a year. Maybe unemployed for less than a year would not qualify for alimony, but over a year would. Learn what you need to know. The fact that he is saying he will try taking you to the cleaners is offensive. He should be sorry he hasn't been contributing and trying to save the marriage. Instead, he is looking at future ways to get at your cash, so he doesn't have to work. How is he so okay with you doing everything to support you both? How are you okay with working hard and not getting ahead because he holds you back? A healthy relationship allows both partners to grow and prosper. You deserve that. You really do.
Comment number 25 by Juo731 8 hours ago. Only thing I'll say specific to the instance here is in my experience, things never go well with an org that mixed up your pay in their initial offer, and it suddenly cut 25%. All of the other stuff is valid, though. Comment number 26 by Ira Munkins 19 hours ago. I feel his only being relaxed because you made him comfortable. Give him an ultimatum so he would see how serious you are. Comment number 27 by Joe Kyriakides 18 hours ago. My ex did this for 5 years. Basically, it never got better and hasn't to this day. He did have Crohn's disease, which was horrible, but also some pretty bad undiagnosed mental health problems. Used to have severe mood swings and a weed habit. He was also extremely creative, a writer, but he never finished anything or tried to submit any of his work. I'm not saying that people are not within their right to not want a corporate job, etc. I don't either, but I need to pay the bills, unfortunately. I genuinely wouldn't have minded if he'd chosen to do any kind of job, manual labor, cleaning, or admin. You will have to be strong and say to him that if he doesn't get any kind of job to help, then it will be a deal breaker for your marriage. Comment number 28 by DZHMMM 19 hours ago. Never make a threat/promise you don't keep. You should leave him at least until he finds another job. An IDK if his mention about alimony is true, because he's choosing not to work, not that y'all planned it together, or that he's sacrificing his job for you. IDK, but you need to stick to your word, or words are going to quickly have no impact.
Comment number 29 by SHARNTROY 18 hours ago. Lawyers give free consultations. His threat is off base and it's meant to intimidate you. Get the facts from a lawyer. Honestly, it's a lot cheaper to divorce him than being his provider. The judge will be pissed he is turning down job offers. He'll have no alimony.
Comment number 30 by Aries and Sun 13 hours ago. Sounds like you're married to my EXBF. So no, I don't really think this is an overreaction. The part that gets me is the change in subject when you ask about this. The breaking point with my ex personally wasn't necessarily that he didn't want to work. It was the idea to him that being an entertainer, streamer/YouTuber specifically, wasn't real work. To him, those people turn on a camera and yap into a mic for 2 to 3 hours while they play a video game and make bank. I was dabbling in streaming as a hobby on the side of my corporate job as well. The 2 to 3 hours of yapping is just a small portion of what goes into it. I put in an effort and became a Twitch affiliate in 4 weeks. I think if I stuck with it, I could have eventually become a partner. He streamed randomly during the day for an hour and got pissed that I was stealing his thunder and trying to make sure he'd never be successful. I completely understand not wanting to have to work for the corporate machine to get your wage. I think that's a sentiment a lot of people in the world echo. Unfortunately, we live in a world where you work to live, not live to work. Sometimes you take a job for a year until the best thing comes along. It would be one thing if he was making a genuine effort, but it sounds like, unless you prompt him and fight about it, he doesn't seem to think it's a big deal. Yes, you should want to help and support your spouse in tough times. He doesn't seem to want to help and support himself first. Avoiding the topic is making this worse. If he's depressed, burnt out, unsure of his future, you can't help him. Comment number 31 by Snoo55931 14 hours ago. ROK document 5758 has the answer, but I just wanted to reiterate having a plan, because things probably won't be getting better moving forward. Unfortunately, being in love, having a great time with someone, enjoying your time together, and being able to happily cohabitate/combine lives does not make a successful marriage. Those are good things, but some of the foundational pieces of any long-term relationship are mutual respect, compromise, and being selfless enough to put your partnership first. I've been unemployed, by choice or layoff. When things have been tight for my partner and me, I take a few weeks to a month off while applying for jobs, and then take whatever is a marginally good fit to my skills. I can always keep applying for better jobs. The important thing is to be working and contributing. If a job doesn't happen quickly enough, I do contract work and deliveries. When money hasn't been an issue, I've been able to quit work to go back to school. after talking to my partner and having a plan. And in that case, I took over most domestic tasks: shopping, cooking, cleaning, laundry, our dogs. It is possible to pursue your dreams without abdicating your responsibility to your partnership. When you're married, everything becomes a we instead of me. Even when you're doing something to better yourself, consideration is always given. Marriages are never always 50-50, but they should always end up balancing out. I don't think your husband has the ability to see beyond his own myopic needs.
Comment number 32: by simply existing now 15 hours ago. You have to believe what this man is telling you. Also, it's very rare that he would get alimony in the situation because he himself is declining work, and you have proof that he is declining a job offer that he was offered, making $45 an hour. Also, is he on drugs, and that's why he doesn't want to take a drug test? I can understand not wanting to do that, but it's also a county job, so that kind of comes with the territory. Also, if you wanted to be an entertainer, he has to be out there doing a lot. Look at all of these entertainers out there that have to hustle to make money. If you really wanted to do entertainment, he could also be doing things like social media. There's a lot of comedians out there who have YouTube channels and social media channels where they are making streams of income by uploading videos of their comedy routines or even acting in roles in the videos. If he really wanted to do this, he would be doing it. I would make sure that you are compiling evidence and writing all of these things down as they happen so you can remember them. I would also go speak to a divorce lawyer and leave this loser behind. I think he's just saying whatever he thinks he can say, especially like the alimony part, so that you decide against taking any action, even though his threats are pretty empty. Comment number 33 by Lazy Celebration, 685 17 hours ago. TLDR. Your feelings are valid, but your actions aren't. Neither of you appear to be all that interested in what the other is going through, but rather, you both sound like you're out for yourselves, to one degree or another. Sounds like, at the bare minimum, he's dealing with some serious depression. I know midlife crisis isn't exactly a clinical term, but it sounds like he's feeling some sort of intense dissatisfaction/unmooring within himself, wherein he's feeling unfulfilled with his life on some level. It sounds like he is trying, unsuccessfully, to rediscover a sense of self he's been feeling increasingly detached from. This can manifest in many different ways, including the irrationality, depression, and impulsivity he's exhibiting. This doesn't excuse his behavior, though. Has he expressed consideration for how this affects you? That's a big indicator of whether he's in a place to be in a long-term partnership. I was laid off multiple times when I was doing copywriting work, but I busted ass to find work, and through that experience, I discovered a far less lucrative career that's ultimately much more fulfilling to me. If I had received an $80,000 job offer after months of being laid off, I'd take it in a heartbeat. Even if the employer told me I had to whip it out and piss in front of HR, full frontal. Alright, maybe not, but you get the picture. His resistance to a drug test seems like it could be a bit more than disliking the requirement on general principle. Does he have any history of substance use disorders? As a recovering alcoholic/addict, if I were in active addiction and trying to hide it, as addicts often do out of fear, I may well have made any kind of paper-thin excuse to avoid a drug test. Caveats: your frustration and exasperation with his very irresponsible decision is completely warranted. Threatening to leave him, though, without digging deeper, is coercive and only instills fear/breeds resentment. What that tells him is that you're invested in his life decisions out of self-interest, rather than from a place of support and curiosity. Holding this ultimatum over his head over his own career choices is a manipulative act that makes you appear to be out for yourself via his life choices. This will not strengthen your partnership if, indeed, you'd be willing to stay with him purely on the basis of this particular career decision of his. In fact, it would do the opposite. He'll become more unhappy, bitter, and lost, and could provoke more impulsive decisions that could rock your world in far worse ways than this. I think you'd be wise to really think about what you're looking for in a relationship holistically. This man is clearly unhappy with something in his life, and is focusing on this line of work as being the sole variable that's crushing his spirit, when it likely runs deeper. The feelings are big enough that he'd turn down a good job offer, despite the impact it has on his partner. Something within himself feels intolerable, and necessary to escape at all costs. Whether or not he calls them back and accepts this job offer, you need to ask yourself, am I willing to support this man on his journey toward finding happiness? And do I really support him, or do I simply support him if he makes choices that are convenient for you? If it's the latter, then your investment in the relationship is coming from a narrow-minded, selfish, conditional, and codependent place. It sends a message of, I'm in your corner, so long as your decisions benefit me. Not a good foundation for a relationship. Ultimately, your threats have proven to be empty, so that indicates you were simply trying to manipulate him for your own ends. That's going to create bigger problems for him and you down the road. Your ambivalence is certainly valid, and whatever he's going through raises questions about whether he's in a place to be in a relationship right now. You have a right to leave. But putting that onto him and making him responsible for you exercising your agency isn't fair or healthy. As a partnership, you must at least open the floor to include him in investigating the health of your relationship, big picture. Couples therapy could be a big step toward finding clarity between the two of you. To me, this sounds bigger than him disliking his line of work. Are you willing to explore the deeper sources of his unhappiness together, come what may? If not, then it's your choice whether you leave. But don't put the onus on him to take a job, or else. It's not a good look, and hurts more than helps in the long run.
Comment number 34 by Savings Leopard 1614 15 hours ago. My ex-husband was like this to the T. I'm really sorry you are in this position. It wasn't the stress of helping out in times of need mentally or financially that did it for me. It was the realization that he didn't give a flying fuck about anything but himself, and his own comfort in the form of staying home and getting high BC. He was so sick of the corporate world taking him for granted and just a total victim of himself. He got bold in a fight one night telling me how he had been turning down jobs. C. He's too good for them basically. To say we were struggling finance is an understatement. We had 2 kids in school, dogs, and a large property. I was paying for everything. We lived in a legal MMJ state, so I paid for his very comfortable amount of pot, too. He had me figured out and used all sorts of guilt, fear, threats, anything to keep his cozy corner. By making this phone call, he showed you exactly who and what you are to him. Him saying he wants counseling after is a cop-out to get you to shut up about it all. You don't feel better because you know this is all bullshit, and your body is literally releasing chemicals that over time can make you extremely ill.
Comment number 35 by Shortmamov 216 hours ago. Ignore, he's refusing to work and then threatens that you can't afford to leave him. He's not a good partner or person. Collect evidence quietly to prove he refuses to work. His threats re-alimony and not being able to buy him out of the house and go see a lawyer. Quietly plan your exit unless you want to live like this, supporting him for the rest of your marriage. Also, delete this from your Reddit profile. Edit. You can't force him to work, to get help or do anything unless he wants to, and it sounds like he has no solid plans other than living off you while chasing whatever interests him while you work yourself to the bone, supporting whatever he wants to do. He's your partner, and certainly isn't acting like it. He's acting like a entitled, spoiled teen. He thinks all the people he comes across working love their jobs. Give me a fucking break. A majority of us work to support ourselves and our families, and hobbies are for pursuing what we love. Turning your hobby into a job is one of the quickest ways to stop loving that hobby.
Comment number 36 by Wandering Girl 1719 hours ago. N or OP. And I can pretty much guarantee he lost his other jobs by not giving a shit and likely showing up high. What drug is he worried about when it comes to drug tests? Not wanting to drug test for jobs is a red flag IMO. It's also setting oneself up for some fairly shitty jobs. I have no issue with weed, but for safety-sensitive positions, with equipment, people dealing with sensitive data, finances, patient health, they are going to drug test. Those jobs aren't wake-and-bake jobs. If he doesn't want to work corporate, fine, go do service jobs. But they are no cakewalk either. Some may think he sounds depressed, but there's also a lot of depression from regular drug use. It can make one not give a crap about anything. Which is it for him? At the end of the day, he's been lazy AF, letting you support him for the last 6 months. It's time to change the experience for him, or it will only continue.
Comment number 37 by Kvetchup 19 hours ago. Sounds like he is doing drugs.
Comment number 38 by Adorable Pain 9514 18 hours ago. Leave him. Not overreacting at all. He's a loser. Speak to the best divorce attorneys around. Once you have a meeting with them, they cannot take on his case. Do this ASAP. If he is mentioning alimony, he is plotting. Check out your options and get a plan in place.